Hi, and welcome to those of you streaming live on YouTube. Absolutely delighted to have you here. I'm Gary Rhine with Alison Wheeler, and we will be starting very, very shortly. So you get the opportunity to be in nice and early. And welcome, welcome, welcome to our webinar. Thank you for coming along and being on live on YouTube with us here today.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to our webinar, learning all the tips and tricks about sales.
And in the meantime, if you want to learn more about us, just go to businessgrowthdownunder.com. That's all you have to do. Businessgrowthdownunder, all one word, .com, and you can check out our Scale Fast program that you will hear about towards the end of our webinar anyway, but you can jump the gun if you like and go to businessgrowthdownunder.com and find out all about our Scale Fast program. We're going to show you later on in this webinar, which is why you'll want to hang around, exactly what is in the Scale Fast program and what the opportunity is for you today. So we are absolutely delighted to have you in. And Alison, should we follow our principles and do early is on time and let the folk into the room?
I think that's a fantastic idea. Let's do that. Let's admit everybody in and let's get ourselves underway so that we start bang on time. So we'll just wait for Zoom to let everybody in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Scale Fast program webinar for today. Very excited to have you all on. And for those of you who are listening to us streaming live, it is great to have you all on. And today we are here for our sales webinar, why your sales are inconsistent and the 5 leaks killing your revenue. So I am excited to get underway, and it is the top of the hour, so it is very much time to begin. So let's get underway, Gary. Welcome everybody again to our Scale Fast webinar for today, and it is all about sales. So you will note that there are some webinar rules in the chat, so do be aware of those as well. And I'm just going to make sure we're removing AI note takers. Anyway, while we're doing that, so Gary, did you want to bring up our first slide so we can get underway? Welcome everybody. Hello, Jeff. I think we've got Karen, we've got Shelley, and we've got a couple of others who are slightly unidentified because I can't tell who they are. If you pop your cameras on, that'd be amazing. Or if you update your names in the name bar, that would be also amazing. So today, why your sales are inconsistent and the 5 leaks killing your revenue. So let's learn all about how to maximize our sales today. Very excited to have you all here. So let's move on. All right, 10x. So who is this webinar for? This is for business owners, entrepreneurs, professional salespeople. It is not for people who don't want to learn or gain control over their sales. And in this session, we will help you diagnose your sales problems, identify what you need and what you need to do in order to overcome them. So let's look at what is the actual definition of sales. And it's I think this is a very interesting definition. So it is the action of persuading and influencing another to a course of action or the acceptance of something. Now, hopefully everyone knows how to use the chat. The chat, by the way, is at the bottom of your little Zoomy box. And it means that you can interact with us. So feel free to pop in the chat. We will ask you to interact along the way. So what I think this is a very interesting definition, because tell me, what do you think is what do you think is missing from this definition that most people think about sales? What might be missing from this definition? Pop it in the chat. What do you think is missing? What do most people think sales is all about? Because here we've got the action of persuading or influencing another to a course of action. Yes, exactly. No reference to the money. Interestingly enough, in that definition, there is no reference to dollars or money. And we can all get very hung up in sales thinking it's all about the money, right? Oh, I don't want to be selling. I don't want to be too salesy. I don't want to be too pitchy. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that, right? But sales is a way of life. Sales is a service. And we 1000% cannot be of service to someone if we don't sell them. Now, this reference writes in definition, the action of persuading or influencing another to a course of action or acceptance of something. Now, if we think about that, how often does that mean we're selling? We're selling our ideas to our family, to our loved ones, to everybody every day. And guess what? We're actually selling ourselves. The very first sale. Who is the very first sale that you need to make to? Anybody in the chat? Who is the first sale that you need to make to? 100% Karen, yourself. Exactly. Shelley, 100%. If you are not sold, neither will anybody else be sold. So sales being a way of life. I love this definition because it's about the act of influencing someone to take action or the acceptance of something, right? So this is sales is an exchange of ideas. It's an exchange of money. It's an exchange of value. It's an exchange of product, which means that in so many areas of our life, and in fact, every area of your life, we are selling. And the sooner we can accept the fact that sales is a way of life, the more comfortable that will become for everyone. So sales happens every day by everyone at home, work, with your friends, and in the community. So do you think it's an important skill to learn? Anyone in the chat, do you think sales is an important skill to learn if it happens every day at home, work, friends, and community? Anyone in the chat, is it important to know how to sell? Yes or no in the chat? Yes, yes, yes. Good. All right. At least we have some agreement about the fact that you're all here for the right reasons, right? We're all here to learn some more about sales and get better at it. So the first part is persuasion. Are you able to persuade someone? Part of sales, negotiation. How do you go with negotiating? That is the next part. And convincing someone to do something. How are you going with that? And it is absolutely necessary for your survival. Now, when we're speaking about survival here, just so you know, we're not talking about this base level, just get by. Survival is about living at your level of at a level of abundance, so that you have enough for yourself and have enough to help other people. We're not talking about minimums here. So learning that skill of sales will help you actually survive. Because if you don't earn money, it's really tough in this world, whether we like it or not, whether you want to be money focused or not. There's nothing wrong with money. We need it in order to be able to do more, in order to be able to live the life that we want to. So that is some of the frameworks around selling. And it's important to understand the mindset of selling first. That has to come first. The adjustment of mindset that sales is important to you and that sales is a way of life. It's not this icky, yucky thing. It's not a used car salesman thing. If you do it well and you do it properly and you do it transparently, then it doesn't need to have any of that yuck stuff that a lot of people associate with sales. Tell me who here that is online that can interact. When you think it, do you think of yourself as a salesperson? Yes or no in the chat? And I agree with you, Jeff. Exactly. You might be selling yourself. You need to sell yourself in order to get in a relationship and stay in one. So we've got, some of you are saying that you see yourself as a salesperson, and some of you saying that you don't see yourself as a salesperson or you're not too sure, right? Everyone, it's an adjustment to see yourself as a salesperson, because often we have these negative connotations attached to what we think as a salesperson is. And that's step number one to adjust. Right, we've got this mindset adjustment to accept the fact that you're a salesperson, because if you don't sell something, whether it's your idea, whether it's a product, certainly from a business aspect, if you're not selling, you won't make any money. Period. End of story. And if you don't sell, if you don't see yourself as a salesperson, one of the biggest mistakes that most salespeople make is that 80% of salespeople don't ask for the close, and therefore they don't get it because they don't understand sales and they don't see themselves as salespeople. So let's make that transition, that no matter what you are, who you are, and what you're doing, you are in sales, whether that be product, service, or just an idea to another loved one, right? So, a little bit about us so that you have some understanding of who we are. So, my name is Alison Wheeler. I live here on the Gold Coast in Australia. I've been coaching for around about 14 or so years. My background is as an occupational therapist. I worked in vocational rehab for a very long time, helping companies stop breaking their people, both physically and psychologically. So, worked in a huge range of different businesses doing that, transitioned into coaching, and have been in the 10X and grants world for I think it's about 3 years actually. And that is where obviously I met Gary as well. I am a mum, a wife, dog mum, and professional athlete has been something that has been a part of my life pretty much my whole life. And Gary and I are both Amazon bestsellers as well, both together and separately. So that is a little bit about me, short and sweet, but just so you know who you are getting this information on. And we are powered by 10X, which we will explain a little bit as well. But Gary, do you want to just jump on out and let people know a bit of a background about you?
Thank you, Alison. Folks, give Alison some love. Drop a 10x in the chat just for that fantastic introduction to our webinar today. The introduction explaining what sales is all about, the fact that we're in sales all the time, whether you like it or not. Drop some 10x in the love in the chat. Thank you for that. So I'm Gary Rhine, also a co-founder of the Scale Fast program as part of the 10x Business Coach program Down Under with Alison Wheeler. I've been in business. In fact, the 7th of February was the 19th birthday of my business. So I'm now into the 20th year of my coaching business. And prior to coming into this 10X world, folks, I thought I was a 7 out of 10 for marketing and sales. And within 3 days of learning and being exposed to this material, I discovered that I was a 1 out of 10. And I'll tell you what, I've been on an amazing journey ever since. Alison and I were both the first two people outside of North America hired by Grant Cardone and his team to represent the 10X brand outside of North America to coach Grant Cardone's clients. Grant Cardone himself is a self-made multi-billionaire. This system, we have the opportunity of coaching people all over the world, Alison and myself, and we know in the 95 countries where 10X is being applied, the systems that we're going to show you today, those businesses are making higher revenue than they did prior to joining the 10X world when people implement our model, which is right behind my head there, the 10X business program model that those folk that will take a step further today will get to learn more about that model as you go. Now, something about being in a room with people of salespeople, even though not all of you are fully convinced about calling yourself a salesperson, is when you think about physical money, like if any of you actually got some physical money you could get your hands on right now, you've got, it doesn't matter what size note, but you've got some physical money. If you can physically pull it out and show it up on the screen there, like physically grab the money, because this is really, really important, okay, this message, right? That if you've got some physical money, pull it out, get it in your hand. The thing, and just lift it up and show it, thank you. The thing that sales does is it gives real money energy. And it gives them energy to do what, folks? What do we want money to do when we're in business and effectively sales? Okay, Shell, it's in your personal bedroom. You've got physical money there. Great, right? But what does energy do for money? What's it going to get it to do, folks? Who can think in the chat? What's it going to get it to do? Because this is essential to what sales is all about, right? And this is the role that we play, folks. It gets money to move. It gets it to move from one person to another. Trade it for something else. Exactly, Karen. It gets moving. Now, when money moves in an economy, is that good or bad for an economy? G for good, B for bad, right? What is it? It's good. So we are contributing as salespeople to our economy, our own economy and the broader economy. And given that we live in a world that requires economies to be moving, to be successful for everyone on this planet, is there actually a more important role than sales? Because sales gives money, energy to move. This is a really, really important. It's a very honorable thing that we're doing. Of course, we want it to flow to us through our businesses, right? We want the money to flow to us. But once we've got that mindset, that can help us overcome any issues we might have about calling ourselves a salesperson. Unfortunately, some people that have done bad things in sales has given it a bad name for everybody, but actually that's a very small number of people. Most of us, like everyone on this call, are honorable, ethical people, and we absolutely believe in making sure that sales, Alison said it, sales is in fact a service, meaning the person that you're selling to needs your service. Like I already know that when I'm coaching someone, they're going to benefit from the coaching more than they know because they haven't been coached yet. They don't know what the benefit's going to be. I know what the benefit is because I've got so many people over time that I've coached who have experienced that benefit. Therefore, I have a duty, an obligation, and a responsibility to help that person make that transaction so that they can gain my services and receive the benefits. That's how sales is, in fact, folks, a service. Feel free as we go through, if you've got questions, it's great how you've been using the chat. Please continue to do so. Alison and I will be responding to your questions throughout the chat, but also at the end of the webinar as well. So most businesses that when we start to coach folks, there's some very, very common patterns when it comes to this idea of sales is that they have activity without structure. What that means is that they're doing a lot of things. They're busy doing things, but they don't have clarity of structure of what they're doing. So it's scattergun. And as a result of scattergun, it's not consistent and it's very hard to measure when you don't have a proper system that you're following. So far too many businesses have this issue. They have activity without structure. Or they've got some structure. They're actually doing some things that are consistent, but they're not tracking their activity. They're not tracking that consistency. So in fact, they don't know whether it's working or not working, and they don't know which parts of their system are working or which parts are not working. And if you don't know that, can you fix where your leaks are, folks? Yes or no? Right, yeah, Shelley, we can't, right? We can't fix where the leaks are. Exactly. That's right. And this includes you, as Alison says here, this includes you as a solopreneur. So you're working on your own and or whether you've got a team. It's exactly the same, right? It's exactly the same issues for these challenges. And then finally, revenue's actually not a gut feel. It's not a winging it thing. It's actually a formula. Like just during the week, I did a live workshop in person, 15 salespeople in the room. The least experienced salesperson was 15 years in sales. And most of them have been in this organization, this specific organization I was working with for at least 2 years. When I asked them, did they have a consistent approach to selling and structure? Their answer was no across the 15. Now they've actually grown by $20 million this past 2.5 years. They're in a growth phase. They've got some talented people, but there's actually no consistency in the selling. I said to the CEO in the room, you know, you've got a team of thoroughbreds here, but you have left many other millions of dollars on the table because you don't know where the leaks are in your system. And then we went through a process of identifying a few. And again, with those salespeople, we got them to do some things that they'd never done before. They'd never done before because they'd never thought about them before. And that's the power of the system that we teach. Alison.
I need to unmute. So we've got the 10x sales equation. So this is activity, skill, and follow-up equals revenue. Need all three parts. So we need to do enough activity. And I hear this often, you know, yeah, but I've followed up with them a couple of times. I've done this or I've done that. Most often, you just have not done enough. I don't want to pester someone. Okay, I don't want to be pushy. Well, if you don't follow up enough, guess what? The person that does is probably going to get their business. So it's how much activity, how much outflow are you doing? How many outreaches are you doing? How many people are you talking to? How many conversations are you having? And then we've got skill. Do you actually have you learned sales? Have you done any time learning sales? And this is where we actually need to adjust to the fact that we are actually in sales so that we then realize, hey, there's a whole skill set to learn around sales. So what training are you doing around sales? Actually learning to sell. And then we have follow-up, which is huge. And most people don't do enough of it, or they don't do it at all. The average business in Australia does 2 follow-ups and that's it. And we will cover some stats later of why that's crazy and not enough. But that is the average. And the average business in Australia actually contacts their lead within 48 hours. Also, in this day and age, speed to lead's essential. 48 hours, you may as well forget about it. They're so cold, they probably could live in the Antarctic, right? So it's too slow. We talk about in 10X that from a speed to lead perspective, we need to be contacting people within 5 minutes of inquiry. So really, really important. And as Gary said, discipline equals consistency. Action is competence. Increase those and your confidence increases. So, it's not about motivation here, guys. Motivation comes and goes. If you're waiting to be motivated, you're going to be waiting for a very, very long time if that is the only time you take action. It's about discipline, whether you feel like it or not, knowing what your targets are and doing those activities. So when one of these is low, your revenue will go down. So you can do a self-assessment, right, of those items. Out of those items, which one are you missing? So if you looked at that in the chat, which one do you think, or maybe more, which one of those is missing for you? If your revenue, which I assume your revenue is not where you want it to be or you wouldn't be here, then which one or multiple of these is missing for you? In a little self-assessment, pop it in the chat. Activity, skill, follow-up, which one? Because if you were doing all of those at the level that you needed to in order to produce the result, you would have the revenue you wanted. Just type in an A, an S, or an F. Yes, activity and follow-up. Perfect, Karen. Right? So we've got activity and follow-up as well from Shelley. Who else? What are we missing?
Yeah, Munku's got follow-up too.
Munku's got follow-up. Perfect. Excellent. So it's always good to do a little self-assessment on where might we be lacking. And sometimes we don't actually realize what we're lacking because until we actually start selling. Like Gary said it earlier, he thought he was really good at sales, as did I. I'd done 50,000 sales calls before I started the 10X program. And I thought I knew what I was doing until I realized I didn't. And how much money I was leaving on the table. I hate to think I would have left well over $1 million on the table just from not knowing these skills. And I thought I did know. And part of the problem with learning is we think we know. Because if we think we know everything, we are not open to learning anything else. So always be open to learning more skills as well. So we have our 5 sales leaks next. So these are our 5 sales leaks. So no defined sales conversation structure. Do you know what your sales process is and have you written it down? What happens from when you market through to when you actually onboard someone? What's the actual structure? You need to know your structure. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in the sales process and you'll absolutely 1,000% lose control. The next one is poor fact finding. And this is huge because if you don't fact find well, you have no control. What is fact finding, Gary?
So fact finding is where you're finding out what we call the dominant buyer motive of the person you're selling to. What is the number one reason why they want your product or service? The dominant buyer motive. Your task in fact finding is to find that out. You also have to find out some other key pieces of information before you demonstrate your product or service. Just in the chat, what do you think some of that other key information might be that you need to discover in the fact finding before you demonstrate your product or service? Who can think of some things that would be very handy for you as a salesperson for your business to know prior to demonstrating what your exact product or service is? Any thoughts? Who's got some ideas? You're all already in business. You're all already been selling throughout your lives. What are some key things that when you look back maybe at sales that were not successful, but you know they bought from someone else? Well, what was it that I didn't find out? And by the way, we actually strongly advocate you never ask the question, what's your budget? You find out their budget through asking intelligent questions and finding out their behavior prior to getting to you
Yeah.
around similar types of products, for example. So anyone got into what other things have they tried before? Karen, exactly. That's really important to know. Have you actually ever tried something like this before? Right? Then, if they told you that yes, they have, you might say, well, what was your experience like? How long ago was it? What did you pay? It was 5 years ago. I paid this. Okay. You know that money doubles every 10 years or so. So straight away, you're helping them prepare mentally for this is going to cost more than it did 5 years ago. Probably at least half as much again. You're preparing them mentally for that without even saying your prices just yet by having your fact finding do that. You want to find out the buyer's situation, Munku. Exactly. That's a great thing to find out. What's your current situation? What are you doing? How is this product or service going to benefit you?
And why? Why now? Why?
Why?
Why? And why are you looking and why now? Because we also want to create some urgency. People only purchase for two reasons. They're either looking to solve a problem or they're in love with something. Today's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. But they right. So today people buy flowers and rings and all sorts of things purely because of love, right? Where most of the time people are buying to solve a problem. Fact finding is essential in order to identify the problem. And a lot of people skip this step because they're trying to go into their pitch too early, their demonstration. And that just turns people off. Well, what are you demonstrating? What are you pitching? You don't even know what problem you're solving for someone. So they're not going to buy off you if you're not actually solving a problem. So identify the problem first through quality fact finding, asking hard questions. Therefore, you also know how to actually present your product to the person in the right way. And also you can be handling objections throughout that process. So if you don't have good fact finding, you will lose control of the conversation. The person asking the questions is the one in the control of the conversation and leading the conversation. Sales is a little bit like a match of tennis. You throw the ball over and you wait for it to come back. It is a communication cycle. The other over explaining, too many words. I've worked with a particular client that we've literally refined his process down. I think we've taken it to about 1/8 of what he was saying and pitching, and he has more than doubled his revenue by saying less. Right? So stop saying too much because you confuse people. A mind and mystery takes no action. And it means that you actually can't lead the conversation. So say less in order to gain more. Ask more questions. Get the person talking. There is so much more value in that than you just trying to sell them out of the gate. It doesn't work. If you're going all into features and benefits without the actual correlation to what they need and what they want, then that is super important. So then we have
Alison,
yeah,
before we go to the next one, like our coach, Grant Cardone, he owns 5,500 doors and growing every day. But he deals with a lot of real estate agents, and he often says on this particular topic, real estate agents, find out in your fact finding what I care about when I'm buying a property for me. He says, I'm a view guy. I want to know what the view is. But they don't ask me what I want. They want to start in the bottom corner of the property and show me every centimetre. I'm not interested in every centimetre. I want to see the view. Ask me that. My wife, Elena, she wants to see a bunch of different things than I do. But ask me and ask her what we want to see, then show us that. Because that can help you stop over explaining by finding out what matters to them and focusing on that. Back to you, Alison.
100%. Number 4. This is something that holds people back. You actually have a fear of objections, that someone is going to actually say, no, I can't do it. I need to talk to my wife or my husband, or I don't have the money, or it's not the right time, or all of the other things, right? We can have a fear of actually getting an objection. So then we don't try and flush it out early and handle it. Better off to flush that out and handle it rather than fear it, because something you fear you cannot be in control of either. So the more skill set you learn around handling objections, the more confidence that you actually have. Or a fear of closing. People are fearful to actually ask for the sale, so they don't. And it's no wonder they don't get the sales, because they don't ask. People think, oh, well, I'll wait till the person tells me they want to buy. Well, guess what? You're a leader. The person has come to you because they see you as an authority. You have to lead them across the line. And there is an uncomfortable point in every single sales process. There's a friction point, an uncomfortable point, and that is at the point of exchange. If you do not lead the person over the line, they probably won't go there, right? Maybe you might get 1%, but then you're missing 99% of sales because you won't ask because you're uncomfortable in the close. There is always a friction point, and it is the person who is the most confident that is willing to lead through that friction point and push through that friction point that will actually get the sale. Now, someone is always buying and someone is always selling. Now, you're either going to buy the seller's information or they're going to buy yours, one or the other, because someone is always selling and someone is always buying. So that is number 4, the fear of objection and the fear of closing. That is a sales leak for you.
Yes, we've got a couple in the chat that have identified, Alison, that they do experience the fear of rejection, okay, which is a big fear of why people are not attempting the close, etc. Okay. Now, just simple answer. If any, like all of us right now, if we attempted to do a jump, we tried to jump, and if you like to, just stand up and do a jump right now, right? If you jumped, what would happen? Would you keep going up or would you come back down? You would come back down, right? You would come back down. Do you realize that gravity rejected you? In fact, even while we're sitting here right now, gravity is rejecting us from flying around and floating around and doing whatever we want to do in the air. Rejection, therefore, is a normal state of being a human being and being alive. It's just normal. And once you realize that I'm living in a constant state of rejection, even to be able to just walk around this planet or sit at the desk I'm sitting at right now, watching and participating in the Zoom, then, well, okay, someone said no to me in sales. I can handle that. It's a normal state of affairs. The more we can realize that rejection is just normal, the less we get worried about it, and the more we often say, swing the bat. Just swing the bat and have a go at a sale. Ask the question, as Alison said earlier, did anyone pick up what was the percentage of salespeople that do not even ask for the sale? What did Alison say at the very start in the introduction? Drop in the chat, because I know you're taking notes. Who took the note of the percentage of salespeople that research tells us do not even ask, would you like to buy this product or service? Who's got the number? Let's see who's got the number. Karen, 80%, spot on. You win the gold star right now. So 80% of people are not even asking the question, largely because of that fear of rejection. But again, we're getting rejected right now. It's just normal. Swing the bat, ask the question. Let's be part of the 20% who ask the question. This is a big, big lesson. Alison, back to you for leak number 5.
And the last one of our 5 is inconsistent or emotional follow-up. So this is, have a follow-up plan, be consistent with the follow-up, and be creative. So don't just keep asking the same thing over and over again. You sound like a broken down record, and someone will ghost you because they're annoyed that you keep saying the same thing. Get some variety in there, and there's no reason you can't get loads of variety, because we have AI to assist us with these things, with coming up with ideas. So we want consistency. Consistency builds trust. So if you only do a couple of follow-ups, it's inconsistent. The person will forget about you, and 63% of people are not buyer ready. So if you aren't following them up when they are ready to do business with you, they will go to someone else because they've forgotten about you, and people like to move really, really quickly these days. Or you're super emotional in the follow-up. I had a person recently, what did they say? I was like, no, thank you. It was my husband and I were like, no, not interested, right? And they're like, well, I would hate for you to miss out. I'm like, I'm about to vomit because that is a terrible line. Come up with something a little bit better than that, right? I'm like, no, you don't, Kate, for me to miss out. You just want to make a sale. You don't even know that what am I missing out on? I don't even know what I'm missing out on, right? Like, it was like, oh, come on. Like, that is not coming from a place of service. The words were, but the intention behind that statement was very clearly not that. So if you say something, make sure that your intentions and your words are matching, because people feel a intention that is not authentic, right? So the intention behind what you do, know why you're doing what you're doing, and do it very cleanly and very well. And something that in 10X World we teach is in the close, you need to be unemotional. You can be emotional in the sale part in the first steps, right? But then after that, you need to be like stealth-like, no emotion there, cool, calm, and collected, because that's where the other person's going to get really emotional. Now, if both of you are getting emotional, now you're just like a ping pong ball in a washing machine, and no one likes that feeling. So let's not be ping pong balls and washing machines, and you want to be the person who's stable and calm. The other person can do what they want, because they're going to follow the stability and the calmness. It's a way of transferring trust. So those are the 5 sales leaks, Gary. Let's keep going.
Okay, now, folks, we spoke about gravity just now, but I'm going to ask you all. I'm going to ask you all to put your seatbelt on and pull it tight, just like you're on a plane. You know, they say put it low over your lap and pull it tight, because I'm going to show you some statistics that Alison said earlier we're going to share with you, and you're going to want to be holding onto your seat when you see these statistics. These are really, really powerful statistics for A, helping you recognize that you do need to get your skills and competence up, and B, what the activity levels required to be successful in business today now look like. Remember, we saw that revenue formula before that spoke about the 3 key areas. Who can remember what they were? There was skill, there was activity, and there was something else. What was it? Skill, activity. There was 3 elements to the formula for revenue that Alison shared just before. Follow up, Shelley. Spot on. Well done. You win the gold scar. Well done, Munku. And thank you as well, Alison, of course. So let's keep going here with these statistics. Okay. And we'll get the slideshow to come along with us once it decides that it wants to do that. Let's go. I'm just going to stop the share for a second. I'm not sure why that's doing that. Let's go one more time.
While you're doing that, I'll just talk about there are 5 steps in a sales process as well. So you got your 5 leaks. We like numbers 5 because it's easy to remember. There's also the 5 steps in the sales process. So just so you know what they are: greet, fact find, demo, close, follow up. Right? You hopefully can see that at the bottom of the slide. You want to make that bigger so people can just make it a one screen. Yeah, so greet, fact find, demo, close, follow up. They're the 5 steps. Write it down, take a screenshot of this, understand and follow the process. If you know where you are in the process of sales, you have a hell of a lot more control. Where are you at? And this might happen in one conversation. This may happen over multiple conversations. You always want to know where you are in the sales process, and never ever want to skip a step in the sales process, because it's when we skip steps in the sales process, it goes very, very awry. We wonder why it doesn't work. Generally, we can pinpoint it right back. You've missed something in one of these steps. So that is the best and the most simple 5-step sales process. Works every single time. Back over to you, Gary.
Yes, and spot on. Just a couple of quick things to finish with that. The demo is when we're focusing on what we found in the fact finding. So we're just putting these things together for you, right? Especially addressing their dominant buyer motive. I shared with Grant Cardone, his dominant buyer motive with a property is the view. So the demo needs to focus on the view for someone like him, because if you go to other places, you're going to lose him. You do too much information, he gets lost, he's disinterested, wants to go somewhere else. Alison also spoke about being objective and not emotional in the close. That's where we're negotiating the deal. So we're in the close. They said yes. Now we're negotiating all of the terms. That's when you're objective about this, right? You're not emotional. And they said, well, I said I really can't afford to do that down payment. I understand. I get it. We teach a thing called the magic of agreement, that if you choose to get in the program with us, you'll learn a lot about how this particular strategy is very, very important for you to stay objective and for then actually be okay with them being emotional. In fact, when people are emotional in the close, they're closer to a decision one way or the other. And if someone's absolutely a firm no right now, you're better off finding out that sooner rather than later so that you can put them into your follow-up sequence for the unsold. You'll notice that with follow-up, we have a sequence for follow-up when people are sold, which includes delivery of your service or product. And there's a follow-up sequence if they've not sold, because at some point in the future, we want to bring them back to the greeting and go through the process again, except for this time, our fact find is going to start at a higher level because we'll already know more about them. That's the reason why too, folks, a CRM is so important for you to be able to track information regarding your clients. Now, here's the strap down for the seats for your statistics that we promised we would share. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect at all. Nearly half of people that say they're in sales don't even follow up once. A quarter of them, 25%, only make a second contact and then stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Now, you're going to see in a sec why these are failing and why this means you're leaving money on the table. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts with someone. The number of people Alison and I work with, when we ask them, how many times do you do a follow-up if someone doesn't buy the first time? Oh, 1 or 2. Very rare are they at 3. Very rarely, right? But only 10% of people are doing this. Now, look at these sales stats. Only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Think about your own behavior, folks. When you're buying, do you always buy first time? Every single time, do you buy first time? Most people, the answer is no. Some things, yes, but a lot of things I actually have to think about it, especially if it's not something like food that you have to buy, obviously, right? Okay, so think about your own buying behavior. And this is also important too, to know what your buying behavior is because if you're one of those people that's a think about it person every single time, if you always say, I never buy the first time because I have to think about it, when someone says that to you, you'll get sold by them. We talk about sell or be sold. You might be the salesperson, but you get sold on their story of, I'm not going to buy it first time. You get sucked into that because you actually agree with it. And then you don't get the sale. And actually, you've stopped delivering service to them as a result of not being able to handle what we call that type of objection or complaint. So 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. So, folks, all of these people who stopped up here after 3 contacts, they've only got 5% of sales. So far, 2, 3, and 5 is 10%. 90% of sales are still yet to happen after the third contact, folks. And people are leaving this on the table because they're not following up. 10% of sales are made between the 4th to the 14th contact. Yes, that's where you need to have your seatbelt down low and tight, folks, right? We just got some altitude. 4th to 14th contact is where 10% of sales are done. 80% of sales in 2026. And we believe this is because of the significant impact of AI over the last 3 years on the marketplace, is now 15 to 40 contacts. If you don't have a system of understanding how to do follow-up in that formula that we shared there earlier about skills, activity, and follow-up, you will be leaving business on the table, folks. People are doing research. They've already spent time getting 59% of the way to the sale by the time they even contact you because of the research they're doing online. And if you haven't got your systems in place with your follow-up, now when you're doing that many follow-ups, folks, you have to have multiple channels of follow-up. You cannot just be calling. You cannot just be emailing. You cannot just be text messaging. You need to use the full suite of how you can contact people these days. So in the chat, what are some other ways, some other methodologies you could be using to follow up with people that's not a phone call, that's not a text, or not an email? How else? So in addition to email, what would be separate to that. A selfie video, Alison, exactly. You could do a selfie video and send that as a text. Now, yes, that's a text, but it's actually a video of you talking to the person. I promise you, if you try this tactic of doing a video to someone that you haven't closed in a deal and send it to them as a text, the probability that they will respond to you will go up by over 75%. Because no one does this. No one does a selfie video and says, "Hi, Jeff, I was thinking of you and we were talking 3 months ago. Things have gone a bit quiet. I just wanted to get back into communication. Give me a call and let's get you that service that you actually asked me about 3 months ago." Send, right? It can be that simple and powerful, right? Karen says a handwritten note, something in the snail mail, says Karen as well. Right, a course for free could be another way. You could send a direct message via LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. All of these are different ways that exactly, Alison, you can be communicating with people, folks. Okay, so you've got to get creative with your follow-up. A simple rule is no more than 2 follow-ups on the same channel in the same methodology. So if you've sent 2 emails, what's another way I can have someone? So maybe I've got them on my newsletter list as well on LinkedIn, so they get that form of follow-up because I've got them to subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn and on a weekly basis, for
That doesn't
example.
mean that you can't send more than 2 emails, just
No,
FYI.
no, it doesn't. No.
Okay. Just to be clear, it just means that the emails need to vary in their content. Don't say the same thing more than twice. So, did you get my proposal? And did you get my proposal is 2 of the same things. Don't say that. They're going, now you're done with that, move on, say something else, right? Look to add value wherever you can because it builds trust.
Yes. And let's keep going.
Okay, so why do most sales training fail? We have lots of insight, perhaps, but it doesn't change behavior. Insight doesn't change behavior. You actually have to change something. So you're on this call today, and that's great. We're giving you plenty of information, but what are you going to change? Behavior changes with repetition, feedback, and accountability. So it's not something you just do once, over and over again. Feedback, are you recording your sales training? Are you practicing your sales training? What are you doing to get that feedback, right? Do you do a manager's call? What are how are we getting the feedback that we need to do? And things like managers calls, all of that, we teach all of that in our Scales Pass program. And then accountability. It's a big one. How are we staying accountable? How are you keeping yourself accountable? And it doesn't matter how good you are. I have been a person who's been able to keep myself accountable my whole life. Doesn't mean I don't have a coach or someone to hold me accountable, because I still, no matter what, as if I can't do more and as if you guys can't do more. And when you have to show up for someone else, it is amazing how much more we will do. Sales requires installation, not just education alone. It's great to get information, but you actually have to install it. You have to implement it. We don't know anything until we can prove we can implement. That's true knowledge. True knowledge is when you can implement and get a result. Super, super important. So the things you're learning today, implement. Or join our Scale Fast program and we can help you do that and also hold you accountable and give you the feedback. Woohoo! All in one. Fantastic. So what we wanted to do as well, Gary, is go through, okay, so how do we put this in action? So this is a very simple plan. You follow this, you'll grow your business. The 5-5-5 plan. So this is how to grow your business in a very quick, easy format. 5 posts a day on your socials across multiple platforms. So that could be, where are 5 places? Could be LinkedIn, TikTok. It could be Instagram, Facebook. It could be Snapchat. It could be a story. It could be a reel. There are so many options. A newsletter on LinkedIn. There are so many options for you. An article on Substack, right? Something on Telegram. There are a million places that you can be putting information. Make sure you are at least five outflows of information across different platforms every single day. 5 lead outreaches. Who are you reaching out to? And make that 5 a day. 5 outreaches a day. Talk to 5 people a day about your business and doing business with them or their audience. And the last one is 5 follow-ups. Imagine if you did 5 follow-ups every single day. It's the 5-5-5 plan. It is a fast way to scale and grow your business. The 5-5-5 plan. Who is committed to the 5-5-5 plan in the chat? Yes, for you are going to do, or a 10x for commitment to the 5-5-5 plan. Who really awesome, Karen? Who actually wants to move the needle on their business? Great, Jeff. Fantastic. Love it. So we have less than 50% of you who are committing to the 5-5-5 plan. Come on, guys. Who is here to really move the needle on their business? You're here for a reason. It takes accountability and it takes commitment and it takes being uncomfortable. Great, Shelley, committing to the 5-5-5 plan. I love it. We are here to help you actually create results in your business. Great, Monko. Awesome. Because it takes action in order to create a result. It takes getting uncomfortable. There are no results in comfort. That is for sure. So unfortunately, we can be comfortably uncomfortable. I personally would rather be uncomfortable choosing the discomfort, growing what I want, than uncomfortable in a life that I don't like. So choose your discomfort. So exactly, there's no results in comfort. Gary, over to you.
Thanks, Alison. And so, folks, our intention is to have you join us in the Scale Fast program. And what the Scale Fast program is, I'm going to show you inside the vault in a moment. But it's a weekly group mentoring program. It's Tuesday evenings. We promise 48 sessions over a year. We're now into our third year of operation. The sessions go for 45 minutes. We educate you. We build up those skills and we help you understand how to relate your activity levels with your skill levels, okay? We have an exclusive WhatsApp accountability and Facebook groups. As Alison and I have spoken already with you about today, accountability is key to being able to develop your skills and move forward. Alison and I are both being coached. We invest in coaching. This is something that you should think about whenever you engage a coach, is to ask the coach themselves, do they invest in coaching? In other words, do they practice what they're preaching? We absolutely have invested a lot of money and continue to do so, both time and money, because of the benefits that we get from an accountability and skill development and competence level, which clearly impacts your confidence and helps you be so much more comfortable with this idea of selling, right? We do additional resources throughout the year. So all of our group Scale Fast program members actually are VIPs for all of these types of webinars. They get the recordings. That's just part of what comes in addition to the actual weekly sessions. We do a deep weekly rotation on 10x math, mindset, marketing, sales, and that powerful follow-up that you've seen here today. Okay. So it's really, really important. And you can see the link in the chat, businessgrowthdownunder.com. You get access to all the recordings. It's 107 hours and growing. It's normally $597 per month, but today it is $347. And if you join today, by midnight today, in fact, if you join right now, you'll also get the opportunity for a bonus one-on-one coaching session with either Alison or myself, a 50-minute recorded session just for you if you sign up today for $347 per month. It's for a minimum of 2 months, meaning if you jump in, you sign up for your 347, you decide it's not for you, you do need to give 30 days notice. You'll still have access for the full 2 months, but that is no more. It's not a contract that keeps going on and on and on. That said, our members do tend to stay for more than a year over the journey so far. So just so that you're aware of that. Now, I did promise that I would show you the Scale Fast vault so you can see, well, what on earth is this vault? What does it actually look like? What is even in there, so that we can show you that content? Okay, so I'm just going to show you, and as soon as you join, you get access to this vault. Right, so I showed you briefly behind me and Alison, you can see that model. So this vault works around the model and it shows you each of the things. So under our target, we have, look at all the episodes we've got under the target there, folks. When you click on one of the episodes, you get the recording and you get the files and resources that go with that. In this case, it's actually a spreadsheet that you can download to help you calculate your goals that are stretch goals that you can actually believe in. So that's just under the idea and target section. 10x mindset is actually so powerful because everyone has to work on their mindset. We had Shelley being beautifully vulnerable earlier, sharing about, I'm a bit worried about calling myself a salesperson. And or we had a number of you talk about how you're concerned about the fear of rejection. Again, this section has heaps of material in here to help you to overcome issues that you might actually have, like how to master your own objections, for example. Again, we've got the files, we've got the download, we've got the recording. This system goes on and on and on for 112 lessons, folks. There's 112 lessons. They average between 50 minutes, and some of them actually, one of the lessons goes for 3 hours. From one of the systems that we did a boot camp recording. So as you can see, it goes on and on and on. We've got the 10x sales professional. So if you're worried about what does it actually mean to be a sales professional, we've got a 5-part series there for you. Again, immediately accessible simply by going to businessgrowthdownunder.com, folks. Click the link, get the bonus business coaching call from Alison and I. That comes in the $347, but that does expire, that opportunity, tonight at midnight. And the $347 special expires midnight on Sunday, the 15th of February. So you've got to make a decision fast, folks, if you want to get that great value that Alison and I are offering. So we would like to give you the opportunity to ask any questions. Has anyone got a question for the last few minutes that you would like to raise your hand and or use the chat to ask Alison or I a question that has popped up for you? And you will have seen that I put in the chat a little bit earlier, what's your biggest lesson for action from today? What's your biggest lesson for action? So something that you're going to commit to for yourself. You all said, hey, I'm going to do something. Some of you have said, I'm going to do the 555, for example, but is there anything specific that's a lesson for action that you're going to take away today? So Shelley's the 555, Karen's the 555. Awesome. Really commit to doing that. Have any of you got a question on any of the content? This is your opportunity to ask Alison and I a question that will help you right now from a sales perspective. You might even have someone you're trying to close right now. You might even have that scenario. It's like, I just don't know what to say. Who's got a question? And if you do have a question, the way we prefer questions is you say, hi, I'm Gary. My question is, and just ask us the question, and then Alison and I will pull more information out from you so we understand what we need to say to answer your question.
Or if you've got a question about Scale Fast, or we would love to hear a takeaway. If anyone has a takeaway from today, a question, or if you have a question about the Scale Fast program, this is your time to ask. And I know it can be scary. Usually the first person, everyone's scared of saying something. So you have the chat there that you can post it in as well. A takeaway, a question. We are happy to take either of those before we wrap.
I have a question.
Awesome.
So, hi, I'm Karen. And my question is, so if we've waited too long to follow up with somebody, what is the best way to re-engage that person in a sales process?
I love that question, right? So you've let the person go cold. Karen's
Yep.
question, we've let this person go cold. Uh-oh, now what do we do? And often we're afraid, right, of going, oh, now what do I do? Well, I personally would pick up the phone and give them a call and say, hey, Aaron, I know it's been a while since we chatted, so I wanted to pick up the phone and have a conversation and see how are you going. Be of interest, be interested in the person, right? Or send them some sort of communication. We've just got to get back into communication. Maybe they've also ghosted you, right? But if you haven't followed, like if you are the one that's dropped the ball on follow-up, then it's your responsibility to pick the ball up on follow-up and call, and then follow that up with an email or a text message. A little selfie video is a perfect way, right? Because then they actually see you again.
Yeah.
As well. Often we can be very fearful of that first communication because we think there's going to be ramifications because it's been a while. The sooner we pick that back up, the better. But very good question. Gary, do you want to add to that?
Yes, in fact, we've got a suggestion on the YouTube live feed and says, when we earlier referenced about doing the thinking of you selfie video, could that be a way to actually re-engage with someone? And the answer is 100% yes. That could be another way that you do it. You just do the selfie video. Hey, Michael, I was thinking of you. Yes, it's been a year. Yes, it's been 6 months. Yes, it's been 3 months. Let's get back in communication and let's get talking again. And here's my number, and just send it. Like, it's about taking the action and leaning into any fear. Like, if you're sitting there right now and you're someone, a customer, a past customer, even think of someone you've sold to in the past, but it's been a long time. Do the same thing. If you've got any fear with that, that's probably the world, the universe telling you, you actually need to reach out and contact that person. Do a thinking of you message to that person, or just as Alison's described, just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, yes, and acknowledge the fact that it's been a long time. It's okay. How you doing? What's going on? Just get back into communication, right? I'm going to share with you the most important sale of my life. The most important sale of my life. Now, I'm happily married to the beautiful Michelle. We have 5 children, and my 5 children are very, very happy about this story, because when my wife and I first met, we had mutual friends. I was in love at first sight. She was not in love at first sight, right? She was absolutely not in love. And how I know that, and she would verify this, is she told our mutual friends that she would not come within 40 feet of me. So when that was told to me, I'm like, okay, I have to stay in communication with this girl. This was in 1991. We didn't have social media like we had now. It was old school. I actually had to do the human stuff. We happened to work together at a university gym. Seriously, the next day, the gym manager put me on the same shift as her on a Monday night. And I went, yes, this gives me my chance to stay in communication with her. Now, as it turned out, we were talking on the Monday night and she asked me, what did I do on the Saturday night? And I said, quite truthfully, I went to my niece's birthday party. She said, did you do anything else? I said, no, I stayed there the whole night. And she, at that stage, her nieces were 3 and 1. Just put in the chat, how old did she think the person was whose birthday party I was at? How old did she think they were? Pop in the chat. Exactly. She thought they were 3 and 1 years old, right? She thought they were the same age. I have 10 brothers and sisters. I'm number 9. My elder sister's 18 years older. I have a niece that's 10 months younger than me. I was at her 21st birthday party. It was a normal 21st birthday party. That's why I stayed the whole night. But I did not make that story up. It was the truth. And that's when Michelle went, oh, he's maybe a little bit cute. He can't be that bad if he stayed at a little kiddie's birthday party on a Saturday night. Now, I did not know that, but by staying in communication, her mindset shifted about me. One thing led to another, and eventually, many, many years later, we're still happily together with 5 children. That's why my 5 children are happy about that story. So, follow up, communication. And there's something else about that story, folks, is very interesting. Maybe no interest is actually a level of interest. Have you ever thought that about when someone said no to you? So you think when someone says no, what if you said to them, great, I understand. Are you okay if I put you on my email list and we stay you receiving my emails once a week? Would that be okay? You'll be amazed how many people would say yes.
Absolutely, because most people are just not buyer ready. So no is not, it's just no right now. But if you don't stay in communication with them, they'll buy from someone else. So you are better off staying in communication with them and following up. So Gary, what an amazing webinar. I thank you everyone for joining us. Do you want to tie a bow on it for today for our sales webinar for everybody?
Yes, and just something that we always do at the end of our calls, we quote something from Grant Cardone. So folks, just play along, just if you feel like unmuting yourselves. So folks, doesn't it feel good to have content so rich it drips from every single page? Does someone want to tell me when to stop?
Stop.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Oh, 10x truth. The person who suggests your goals are unrealistic has given up on his or hers. 10x truth. The person who suggests your goals are unrealistic, you could never do that, has given up on his or her goals. That's 10x truth, folks. So, folks, we're in business. Are you ready to go help serve some people? And we normally say, yes, we are. And we say, what day is it today? And we say, it's a 10x day. So thank you for joining us today, folks. We'd love to see some of you join us in that 10x Scale Fast program, businessgrowthdownunder.com. Remember that special offer to get a one-on-one with Alison and I ends tonight at midnight. Take that opportunity, 347. Our target is to help you get the revenue to more than pay for what you're getting charged to work with us. Again, you get immediate access to 112 lessons around this wheel and your mindset and more. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to working with you very soon. Ciao. See you,
Thanks,
Alison.
everyone.
Thanks, Gary and Alison.
No problem, Sally.
You're welcome.